All right, joining us now, great pleasure, Utah Senator, Mr. Mike Lee. Senator Lee, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Can I ask you this? Another federal judge from San Francisco, that's shocking, is trying to block deportations. All right, he's calling Mr. Trump a racist, and he's saying you can't deport people to Nepal, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Now, he's defying the Supreme Court, which says you can't have these nationwide injunctions. But what is up with this? Why do these judges persist in this?
Look, this judge's order reads more like a combination of paranoid fantasy, beat poetry, and experimental theater than it does jurisprudence. This is just a really angsty statement written by somebody who's spent far more time in the critical legal studies department of some law school than he or she does in court. The fact is that by comparing the non-extension of temporary protective status to a number of people who should never have been let into the country by the Biden administration, by comparing that to the Atlantic slave trade, he's jumped the shark, and this is inexcusable.
I mean, at what point? So what happens here? So he makes this decision. Does anybody care what he says? I mean, my impression, or it's a she, my impression is that the Supreme Court says ignore it. Just ignore it.
Well, I suspect that there will be challenges and that they will immediately seek either an interlocutory appeal or perhaps files what's known as an extraordinary writ of mandamus petition to try to get this smacked down. This order is not going to stand because this order is not based on law. This order is based on some sort of Marxist rhetoric that the judge wants desperately to be the law, but it's not.
So, Senator, you're now fighting on the floor of the Senate to get Trump's judicial appointments through, as I understand it. And that's the big battle. So we don't have to put up with these crazy judges.
Right. Look, we've got some pending judges. We've got pending U.S. attorneys, ambassadors, division directors, assistant secretaries, undersecretaries. Got about 150 people, Larry, who are teed up out of committee on the Senate calendar, on the docket to be voted on, and who we need to confirm. Because if we don't get them confirmed, you know what happens. The deep state retains control. Now, it's one thing if this happens under a Democrat president. If a Democrat president doesn't get the Democrat nominees confirmed, Democrats still run the show because Democrats run the career civil servant ranks across the board. The deep state bureaucrats, you might say, they're overwhelmingly Democrat. But when a Republican's in power, these are real stakes, and we can't just leave town before taking care of these nominations. So we need to either stay here until the job is done, or at a bare minimum, if the Senate insists on taking this recess, it's got to make a provision to make sure the President of the United States can make recess appointments. No pro forma sessions, the sole purpose of which is to block the President's ability to make recess appointments. That would be wrong.
So we got, it looks like it's very interesting, an opening on the Federal Reserve Board. Adrienne Kudlow resigned today. Mr. Trump has been looking for an opening. He could put that in effectively. I mean, I know you got to have confirmation, but can he have like an acting governor of the Fed and make that person the chairman? Is that possible?
Under current law, the current statute suggests not, but there are all kinds of things about current law relative to the Federal Reserve that aren't right. Look, the fact is that my copy of the Constitution says in Article 2 that the executive power in the U.S. government shall be vested in a president of the United States. And I believe that has to mean that with the exception of the vice president, who's independently elected, the president needs to have the power to fire literally anyone in the executive branch at will for any reason or no reason at all. They should all be serving at the pleasure of the president of the United States, including the Federal Reserve chair. Now, those who push back on it and say, well, that's not an executive branch agency of the United States government, then what is it? It is part of the government. It's not judicial. It's not legislative, which means it's executive. There are all kinds of constitutional and economic problems with the Federal Reserve, and that's why I've called for years for aggressive reform and preferably ending it.
I'm with you, sir. I like that very much. Senator Mike Lee, thank you very much for visiting with us. We appreciate it.